Alright, what is up YouTube? We're back with another tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about JOJI. His main style is anti-pop, lo-fi, very emotional. He has been stepping in some pop-ish sounds with 88 Rising, but other than that, he likes to stick to a very emotional and out of structure kind of sound. So I'm going to be showing y'all how to do all of this on Ableton Live 9 Lite. I know up here it says Ableton Live 9 Standard, but everything that I'm going to be doing on here, you can do on Ableton Live 9 Lite, or Ableton Live 10 Lite, or Live 2 Lite, if that was ever a thing. So let's just hop right into it. JOJI's BPMs range. He has some that are 140s, very high tempo, and then some that are in the 90s, 80s range. So I'm just going to stay safe, and we're going to just go with the 116. So let's hop right into it. We're going to be, so click out here so you can see the, I don't know what this is called, but it's just, alright, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating an 8-bar loop. So I just dragged 8 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 bars. Now I'm going to do Control-Shift-M. And that's going to create a MIDI selection there. And now I'm going to do Control L. I just drag this out, Control L. Now this is going to be looping. So that's looping. So that's good. But we don't even have an instrument in here. I've gone ahead of myself. So what we're going to be doing, double click here, and we're going to be making this, I'm going to keep it simple for y'all on Ableton Live 9 Lite. And we're just going to be doing the grand piano. So now that we have the grand piano, let's create our chords, okay? So I'm just going to drag this up. So we're going to draw our chords out. I don't know chords. Okay, I know my notes, but I don't know chords. I looked up these chords. I just typed in jazz chord progressions, and this is what I got. So if you want to ask me anything like music-wise, I don't know any of that. So I'm just doing this all off what the video said. There we go. Okay, and what I did was I clicked up here, and then I just drew all those out, and then you click them again, and you can undraw them. Okay, so now select all of them, or you can just do Control A, whichever one's easier for you, and now I'm going to drag them out. Okay, and I'm going to select these, drag these out, select these, drag these out. Okay, now we have our chords. Let's give it a listen. It's a nice descending chord progression, and I like it. It's very JOJI-esque. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make it even more JOJI-esque. Is I'm going to do all these. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to make them come off that much, so now we can move them around. Okay, so now I'm going to right click, and I'm going to turn the grid off. So now I can just move these, and they won't be fixed. I can just move them wherever I want. Control Z to undo that. So now I'm just going to be doing that for the rest of this time. I'm just going to be dragging these out. Now let's listen to it. Alright, so now Control A, select all of them. And now Control D, duplicate it, and we're going to move it over. There we go. So now it's going to loop 8 times, but the reason, now it's going to loop, but the reason I did 8 bars was for, actually I didn't move that all the way. The reason I did 8 bars was to add variance. So I'm going to double click on these notes to take them away. So now let's leave it a listen. Alright, so now we have our chords, but I don't like them that high, because JOJI's piano is usually very low, so I'm going to do Control A, and now Shift Alt down. I just moved them all an octave down, so now let's give it a listen. So after listening to this last section right here, you start thinking, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound good. But that's kind of the vibe we're going for. It keeps the listener guessing, which is what we want. So now we're going to add some effects. Double click on your grand piano and then go to audio effects over here. And first thing we want to do is throw in a limiter. So the limiter is going to keep any sounds from going above the threshold and hurting your ears, basically. And you always want that at the very end because that's going to compress everything down that's coming above the threshold. Now let's find a good reverb. You can just drag your reverb in here. All reverbs basically sound the same. It's making it sound like you're in a room or you're somewhere weird. But my favorite reverb is oil barrel. I throw it on basically everything. Let's give it a listen with the reverb. I'm gonna adjust the levels a little bit. Alright, now what we're going to do is grab an EQ3, put it after the reverb, and we're going to take some of those highs off, and a little bit of the lows, and we're going to keep the mids. Alright, there we go. A thing that JOJI likes to do is add a good bass in his music. That's kind of unique for the genre that he's going for. His bass kind of slaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this MIDI, and now we're going to add a bass. So go to your instruments, scroll all the way up, and now go to your bass. Let's go for the distorted sine bass. So a good way that I do my bass is I click on the grand piano, all these chords that we made, and since I want the bass to follow the chords, I'm going to hold down Control and I'm going to drag the chords down to my bass. Now I'm going to double click on here, take all this out, take all the upper notes that are making it the chord, and then we're going to make this on time, all of it. And we don't want the bass to be long. We just want it to be, if that helped. So it's just going to be short notes, okay? There we go. So let's solo this instrument and give it a listen. Sounds like absolute garbage, but we'll make it sound good. Don't worry. We're going to drag it, make it a little bit longer, okay? And then we are going to duplicate this. Now it's 8 bars long. Good. Now let's adjust the knobs and try to make it sound better. Before we do that, let's do Control A, move them all an octave lower. There we go. Alright, now we're going to add some effects. First thing, throw in our limiter. It's a good thing to have on your bass because your bass can go above the threshold. So now a good thing to do with your bass, take off most of your highs, some of your mids. There we go. Sounding like a good bass. I don't know if JOJI does this in his music, but I'm gonna throw in a little bit of reverb on my bass. Don't yell at me, but that's just what I'm gonna do. You can do whatever you want to do. Sounding good. Let's see what it sounds with the grand piano. So we're gonna click solo again to make it non-soloed. Alright, it's sounding good. Let's move on to our drums, okay? JOJI's obviously anti-pop. So he's not gonna have a kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. He's gonna have a lot of percussive instruments going all around your headphones, and he's going to have the kick and the snare maybe not in the right place, okay? Since the Live 9 Lite users can only have a few specific number of tracks, a good way to keep from going overboard is we're going to do insert a MIDI track. and we are going to put in a drum rack. So now we can put a kick, a snap, hi-hats, we can put everything we want into this drum rack, and it's only going to be one track. Okay, so let's do what I was doing earlier. Let's throw in a snap right here, and now drag out 8 bars, Control Shift M, create a MIDI track, and let's put these snaps on the 2, Control D, all the way through. Let's give it a listen. Alright, and let's spice the snaps up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw in another snap, okay? Hold down Control, move it up. So now we have 2 snaps, and they're both loud. And what I'm going to do this drum rack real quick is I'm going to throw on that limiter so we don't get a little too crazy. So on the drum rack, you can throw on audio effects on each of these sounds. So I'm going to go to the first one, go to audio effects, which I was already on, and then we're going to try to find utility right here, drag it right here, there we go. So now we have utility on this first snap, and we're going to make it, let's say, this is the panorama, 25, shifted 25 to your right. I don't know what units they go off of, but 25 to the right. So this one is snap right, and this is going to be, what I'm doing is Control R, snap left. That's not an L. That is an L. So now we're going to go right here, throw on a utility, and what was that, 25? Now we're going to do 25 to the left. That's not where I want it. That's where I want it. All right, 25 to the left. There we go. So now this is when it gets a little spicy. Let's turn off the grid like we did earlier. So I'm going to grab all of these, move them just a little bit to the left of where that 2 is. I'm going to grab all of these, move it just a little bit to the right of where that 2 is. Now let's give it a listen. Alright, you can't tell me that's not heat, okay? So now let's throw in a kick. Yeah, I think we're just going to stick to a regular old kick. But, so this is where I'm going to have a little fun. We're going to turn our grid back on. I'm not going to have, because this is like, what, dance music? We're not going to do that. We're just going to limit our use of the kicks, okay? There we go. So now let's give this a listen. Don't like those. Alright. So now maybe to give it more of a out of structure lo-fi kind of sound, we're going to lower the velocity of some of these to give it so they don't all sound the same, because we don't want them all sounding the same. There we go. Alright. We have a kick and a snare down. Kick and a snap down. Alright, I don't know what song it is, but JOJI has a song. He has the hi-hats at the end of every 4 or 8 bars, and it goes like if I can't be by your side. I'll show you what it sounds like, and I like it a lot. So he doesn't like to use hi-hats just throughout the whole track. He likes he likes to space them out. So we're gonna throw in a pitched hi-hat right here. Go over here. There's our pitched hi-hat. And I'm gonna go at the end of this bar, and we're just gonna see how this sounds. Double click, Control D. Don't like that. Let's try this. It's a little producer inside scoop. Triplet grids, okay? Triplet grids are fun if you're trying to make something sound offbeat. and it's actually they're in hip hop a lot. But this might sound good. Let's see what this sounds like. I like that. Alright, let's work on structure. JOJI doesn't have a specific structure. He doesn't go verse, chorus, chorus, verse. He does whatever he wants. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do just that. We're going to do whatever we want. A thing that JOJI does like to do is have ambient noises at the start of his tracks. So what that would be for us would be some rain on car interior, free sound effects, MP3. So we're going to use that. Insert audio track. I'm going to drag this down. Rain on car. Soul it. Let's give it a listen. Alright, it gets loud right there, as we can see. And I kind of want the rain to sound all the same. So I'm going to just use this area. Okay, there we go. Maybe have it stop right there. We can always loop it if we want to. So we have a rain, but it's loud. We're going to have to do some audio effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw in a limiter, obviously, first thing. Maybe we're going to turn it down and pitch it down a few. I like that. We'll have it -3. Alright, next thing, we are going to throw in an auto filter. This is like an EQ3, but it's a little more high tech. There we go, and then we'll do the same thing, so we'll have a low and a high pass. So this is taking out the low frequencies, this is taking out some of the high frequencies. Like that a lot. And then maybe just to spice it up a little bit more, add, I don't want too much reverb. You actually don't really want any reverb, but just to be different. Alright, so there's our rain. There's our ambient noise of the day. So what I want to do is I'm going to say we're going to have piano at the start, because he likes to start a lot of his songs with piano. Piano at the start with rain, and then it'll go into the drums and the bass without rain. So let's give this a listen. Let's do... Here, I only have 4 tracks, and I know y'all have more tracks than that on Ableton Live Online. So I'm going to click on my grand piano, Control D. Duplicated the whole instrument and everything with it. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this. So this is going to be called, we're going to rename this, Intro Piano, and this is going to be called Main, and then this is our bass, and then these are our drums. Okay? So the intro piano is going to sound different than the main piano. I had it on solo. Okay, so I soloed it on my intro. I want our intro piano to not have a lot of lows. So I'm going to lower my lows down, and then maybe lower some of my highs down. Let's throw on an auto filter to take out some of those lows. Let's see what it sounds like with when it goes into the other piano. So I'm going to hold down Control. So now we're soloed with the intro and the main, and that's the only thing we're going to hear. Let's maybe add some bass, because I know we took out some. I want my drop. Here, we're going to unsolo these. I want my drop to be more special than that. And So what I'm going to do is I held down control, move this over, and then we're just going to have these hi-hats at the end here. Delete all of this. So it's just these 3 hi-hats. And then once these 3 hi-hats hit, we'll take everything out. So it's like tss, tss, tss. Alright, so I ended up taking out the first bass note. So it doesn't come in until the second chord. I'm going to go in and I'm going to tweak some of these sound effects, maybe add a little more audio effects. I'm going to add some vocals. And JOJI's vocals are, he likes to have harmonizing things at the start, and then his chorus is about him being crazy. I obviously can't harmonize, but I'll try my best. I'll try to do some background vocal, something for the main vocal. It's obviously going to sound trash, but I hope you learned something in this video. Go down, comment what you want me to produce like next. Who do you want to learn how to sound like? I was thinking I'm going to do Rex Orange County and then maybe some Tyler the Creator. But if you have a specific suggestion, please let me know. I would be so happy to get a suggestion from one of y'all so I can make a video for one of y'all. That'd be awesome. And I'll shout you out in the next video. Yeah, so I'm going to play what I made so far right now.
And she knows.